Dirty money tied to George Soros and Hillary Clinton was used to pay women to falsely accuse President Trump of sexual harassment, according to a bombshell New Year's Day report in the New York Times. Investigative reporter John Solomon, writing for The Hill, revealed that payouts were made by attorney Lisa Bloom to women who were willing to come forward with stories of sexual harassment against President Trump. Money was a lure. One accuser was offered $750,000 and another had the mortgage on her home paid off. The New York Times on Sunday revealed the names of two of the backers, and both are tied to the resistance, Soros and Hillary Clinton. The New York Times named David Brock, a George Soros henchman, and Clinton's longtime friend Susie Tompkins Buell, who steered hundreds of thousands of dollars to the effort before Election Day. The report states, two Democrats familiar with the arrangements said a nonprofit group founded by Mr. Brock, American Bridge 21st Century Foundation, gave $200,000, while the fashion entrepreneur Susie Tompkins Buell, a major donor to Mr. Brock's suite of groups, gave $500,000 to Ms. Bloom's firm for the last-ditch effort. It was not productive. One woman requested $2 million, Ms. Bloom said, then decided not to come forward. Nor did any other women. Buell, founder of the Esprit clothing line, is a close friend of Hillary Clinton's and a left-wing donor. Her Facebook page is extreme left and includes support for the Marxist hate group Black Lives Matter. David Brock not only has ties to Hillary Clinton and George Soros, he is the resistance, not only to Trump, but to Fox News. He donated $200,000 to the effort. In January last year, the Washington Free Beacon obtained a confidential memo from longtime Clinton ally David Brock that alleges he will use his PAC, American Bridge, to set the wheels in motion to impeach the president. This will be a multi-year project. He hoped to build a network of donors that rivals the right-leaning Koch brothers. He succeeded in forming the Shady Network. Brock brought together deep-pocketed leftists to fund the well-organized campaign of subversive activities to take down the president. The memo/manifesto about the plan, Democracy Matters, Strategic Plan for Action, outlines Brock's four-year agenda to attack Trump and Republicans using Media Matters, American Bridge, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, Crew, and ShareBlue, each with their own strategy and attack plan. Clinton denied knowing about the efforts, and Ms. Bloom said the money wasn't for payoffs but to guarantee the protection of women who came forward. Bloom maintained that she represented only clients whose stories she had corroborated and disputed the premise that she offered money to coax clients to come forward, the paper reported. "We would pay for the legal defense of Trump accusers," Brock told Politico. In the same report, Bloom's shady mother and attorney Gloria Allred told Politico, "If any women who are making allegations of inappropriate conduct contact me, I would be happy to speak to them and then decide if I would be able to represent them." John Solomon noted in his report, Bloom's efforts to bring forward accusers included offering to sell alleged victim stories to TV outlets in return for a commission for herself, arranging a donor to pay off one Trump accuser's mortgage, and attempting to secure a six-figure payment for another woman who ultimately declined to come forward after being offered as much as $750,000. There are other donors, and one can imagine them all being part of the Brock impeachment movement.
Republican Senator Cory Gardner blasting Attorney General Jeff Sessions today, threatening to block all of the president's nominees for the Justice Department. And it's all over the administration's decision to end an Obama-era policy called the Cole Memo, which allows state legalization of marijuana to thrive, despite a federal law that bans the substance. Senator Gardner, who once opposed the legalization of marijuana, has since supported the decision made by Colorado voters. And he now points to the economic benefits of legalizing marijuana. Listen to this clip from a segment about marijuana businesses in Seattle, Washington, facing the new reality of California legalization.
2018 brought the Golden State into line with other West Coast states for marijuana retail shops and products. That even playing field may expand the number of people who want to buy, but could undercut any attempt to make Seattle a special destination for pot tourism. Vela owner Aaron Green says it just takes a shift in the sell. Make a pot shop visit part of the Seattle experience, an add-on rather than the main attraction.
A lot of their convention participants want a cannabis tour of some sort to be part of their Seattle visit.
Well, well, now they have multiple state options, but a diverse group of critics are worried about so-called marijuana normalization, just like you heard, and they're praising Sessions for allowing the feds to enforce federal law, despite the states who decided to buck the feds and do their own thing. A former Obama administration drug policy advisor says DOJ's move will stop the massive infusion of money going to fund pot candies, cookies, ice creams, and other kid-friendly pot edibles. A mom who lost her daughter to a driver high on pot says that all too often marijuana is seen as benign. I hope those days are now over. And a former Democrat congressman says the Cole memo had been waved around by money-hungry pot executives for years, searching for legitimacy among investors and banks. It's time we put public health over profits. Today, Republicans seem divided on normalizing and legalizing marijuana, boiling down to states' rights versus doing what they believe to be the right thing. Joining us now, GOP Congressman Mark Meadows, chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. We have many things to talk to you about tonight, but we'll start here. Great to have you with us.
It's great to be with you, Shannon.
What do you make of this? Because I want to read a little bit more of a statement that we got from Senator Gardner's office as well. He says reports that the Justice Department will rescind their current policy on legal marijuana enforcement are extremely alarming. In 2016, President Trump said marijuana legalization should be left up to the states, and I agree. What do you think?
You know, here's what we have to really look at is a federal law, and this president has been consistent. He said if there's a law on the books, let's make sure that we do it. Just like we're having to deal with DACA, because we had President Obama overreaching on the DACA, the deferred action. He says it's time for Congress to act, and I think on this one, it really is for Congress to rescind the federal law, not an executive agency. And Corey's a good friend. I understand he's representing his state, but there comes a point where you allow states to affect federal policy instead of the other way around, and I think that that's troubling. So I support Attorney General Sessions in this move. It really kicks it back to Congress, and now's the time for us to act if we want to address this particular issue.
So you support the Attorney General on that, but I know there are some other criticisms that you have of him. Your fellow House member, Jim Jordan, the two of you wrote a piece, and you say, listen, you're tired of the leaks that are happening, that there's been no evidence of collusion, and yet there are leaks all the time to places like New York Times. We have another piece out tonight where they cite multiple anonymous sources with all kinds of inside information from the Mueller investigation. They say it came from people who were either inside the White House or briefed on things that happened at the White House or the investigation. You say it's time for the leaks to stop. You say in this piece today, if Sessions can't address this issue immediately, then we have one final question needing an answer. When is it time for a new Attorney General? Sadly, it seems the answer is now. He vowed to crack down on these leaks and to hold people responsible.
Well, but no one's lost their job yet. And you know, the FBI and DOJ leak more than a 60-year-old wooden John boat. I mean, every single day we have more and more leaks that are coming out. And so it's critically important that we address that. But not just that. The Attorney General needs to do his job. You know, when he recused himself, where does his recusal start and stop? There's a big frustration on Capitol Hill that here we have investigated this Russian collusion for 16 months. There is no collusion. There is no evidence of collusion. And so yet here we are in a situation where we know that there are leaks are happening. We know that based on these reports that they've used a dossier in an inappropriate manner, but yet we can't even get the very documents to have proper oversight. So we're tired of the stonewalling. I talked to Chairman Nunes this evening. He's going to get some documents tomorrow. That's a good step in the right direction. But we've seen this before. Listen, I've been on oversight for over 5 years. What happens, they promise you that they're going to get it to you. They give it to you fully redacted, so a page of just blacked out lines. It is time that we get to the bottom of this, and it's time that we hold the FBI and DOJ accountable to the standard that they should be held accountable to.
Do you think, and we have talked about this, do you think that this is a quote-unquote deep state problem? Do you think that there are people within the administration, maybe holdovers, others who are never Trumpers, opponents of the president, who are keeping you from getting the information that Congress is legally entitled to?
Well, I mean, we don't have to look much further than the text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page to obviously see some type of bias. Now, whether that carries over into the investigation, we need to look at all the text messages. We need to fully look at that. But yes, I mean, in my conversations with others, are there people within the high ranks of DOJ and the FBI that certainly are not wanting to come forward with some of this information. I believe that that's the case. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but at the same time, give us the documents. We've requested some 15,000 pages of documents. It's time that we start to review them.
With all these things in mind, the obstruction, the stonewalling, the leaks, are you calling on the Attorney General to resign? I'm calling on him to do his job. And if he will do his job immediately and right away and quit making excuses. You know, you had in part of the lead up to this, you had Attorney General Sessions saying, well, it's not time for a special prosecutor. Well, when we see the text messages and the emails that we've already visited, there seems to be some, at least, appearance of impropriety. It's time that we actually get to the bottom of it. And so he's got a very short fuse from my standpoint, but if he can do his job, more power to him. We would welcome the information to come forward. All right. Congressman Mark Meadows, always great to have you. Thanks
Shannon,
for coming in.
great to be with you.